Hello, everyone. How are you doing? And I have Dr. Floyd Atkins here with me today. And what I want to do is share with everybody a topic a number of my patients have brought up to me over the last several weeks, the whole issue of multivitamins and supplements. And I'm glad Dr. Atkins is on with us today because he's an expert in this. And I'm going to do this in two parts. I'm going to start off with multivitamins, and really they go hand in hand because many people are taking multivitamins and they take minerals, and then there are other supplements that go with them. But oftentimes, people will take a multivitamin, and so this whole concept of a multivitamin, and oftentimes I'll discuss this with them and say, well, why are you taking a multivitamin? And my primary care doctor told me I need to take one, and so on and so forth. And so there are a lot of reasons why. And also we have Dr. Palmer here joining us. Hello, Dr. Palmer.
Hello.
And frequently what they say is that, I just need extra vitamins and minerals, or it helps my diet out, or it's good for memory, or, et cetera, et cetera. Many of my colleagues in the plant-based community will often recommend that patients take a multivitamin, it's frequent that they say, well, just take a multivitamin to cover your bases. And so what I want to do in part one, I'm going to focus on multivitamins from the standpoint of, do they help? And we can sort of throw in, mineral supplements and so on and so forth. And then part two, I want to get into quality. So, the one aspect of, do multivitamins work? The other aspect of it is, where do you get the multivitamins, and, the quality of, the vitamins, things in a retail stores. You can go into virtually any retail store, grocery store, maybe convenience store. I think convenience stores have vitamins, and various other places, and get, vitamin X, Y, and Z. And so frequently people will get these vitamins off the shelf. They tend to get the vitamins that are, the best price. And so, there you have it. We have the multivitamins that are best price, and I'm taking my vitamin, X, Y, or Z, and everything's fine. So what is the quality of these vitamins? So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to start off with a few bullet points on the PowerPoint. I'm going to go through those, and then, I'm going to open up the floor for discussion with my two experts here, because I know they have a lot to say about multivitamins. I know Floyd Atkins have a lot to say about multivitamins, and we're going to now just as a word of warning, we're going to talk about quality on part two. So after our station break, we're going to get into quality, but let's just kind of talk about multivitamins in general as we go through it. So let's take a look at some of these slides here. So question, are they really good for you? So part one, multivitamins, who takes them? I looked this up. They estimate about half of U.S. citizens are taking a multivitamin or some other vitamin or mineral supplement. So either you get the multivitamin complete, brand X, Y, or Z, or you're taking some mineral or supplement. 70% of individuals aged 65 years and older take multivitamins. And they estimate it's a market of about $12 billion a year that's spent on these. So, there's serious money that's being spent on multivitamins, and half of U.S. citizens in general. And as we get older, we tend to take more multivitamins. Now, there has been some scientific studies done, and there are 3 studies I'm going to look at, and we'll go into it. So what's the science behind it? Not a lot of detailed studies, but they've done some. And after I go through these 3 studies, I'm going to open the floor for discussion, with my 2 colleagues. And then, of course, I hope you on the chat will raise some questions as well. So there was multivitamins in memory. So 6,000 male doctors over the age of 65 were randomized to Centrum Silver or placebo. And they were followed for quite a long time, but telephone checks with memory studies were done every few years. And the men, they start out in pretty good health baseline, but 84% compliance with taking the pills. So, half the men took a real multivitamin and the other half took a placebo that wasn't a multivitamin, and 84% across the board were compliant. So that's actually pretty decent compliant numbers. But the findings were that there was no difference in memory problems found between the two groups. So placebo versus the multivitamin, no difference. Now, of course, we'll say this was Centrum Silver. So I don't know if you can extrapolate this across the board of all multivitamins, but this is one study. This is the evidence that we have here. Let's talk about multivitamins in heart disease. Again, 1,700 heart attack survivors were randomized to high doses of vitamins and minerals versus placebo. They took 6 large pills a day. Now, nearly half the participants stopped taking their medication before the end of the study. And I guess they attributed to pill fatigue. So after 55 months of observation, there was no difference between the two groups when they looked at the number of deaths, the number of second heart attacks, the number of strokes, and episodes of chest pain, and procedures of opening blocked arteries. So in other words, they equally had to go back for stents or angioplasties or surgeries between the two groups. So really no benefit in this particular group. Now, we don't know which vitamins they use, where they came from, et cetera. So there's a lot to be said in terms of the details. And so, again, this is just the data that we have at this time. So what about multivitamins in heart disease and cancer? This is a different type of study. It was a research review. Now, they call these, I'm blanking on the term, but anyway, they looked at 27 studies and vitamin mineral supplements. And over these 27 studies, there were 450,000 people in these collective studies. And they found there was no benefit in the prevention of heart disease, no benefit for the delay from death from heart disease or cancer, and there was thought to be minimal benefit in the reduction of cancer risk. And so, again, minimal to no benefit in these series of studies, 27 different studies, nearly 500,000 people. So what we have here is a situation where we have a number of studies, and again, not rigorous, but it's some evidence that we can talk about and lay our eyes on it. And I thought I'd get some insight from a colleague. So, what are your thoughts, Dr. Atkins, on the studies or multivitamins in general? We're going to get into quality later. I mean, feel free to talk about any aspect of it, and we'll go from there.
Can you hear me?
Yep, we can hear you loud and clearly.
Great. Well, first of all, I know that I was glad you were able to find some studies, first of all, on vitamins and minerals, because there's not a lot of information. So that was good. My challenge or my concern with most of the studies is that they study products like Centrum Silver, or they'll study, I guess, the most common vitamin that they would probably see in the marketplace. The problem with that, and I'm not going to get into the quality, but the problem with that is there's a difference between what I call a plant-based or natural vitamin and a synthetic vitamin. And well, let me say one thing before I get to that. We talk about multivitamins, but we should use the term multivitamin, multimineral. And people have to understand that the reason they take them together is because vitamins make minerals work. What we eat our food for, and what we're eating plant-based diet for, what we're eating nutrients for, is for the mineral contents. It controls inflammation, alkalizes, does so many things for our body. But the vitamins help the minerals to work. The minerals are essential, but they don't work without the vitamins. But a lot of the vitamins on the market are synthetic. That means they were synthesized in a lab. They usually, when you look at the chemistry side of it, the biochemistry side of it, it's a mirror image. It's like the vitamin in nature is an alpha, and the vitamin that you buy is a delta, and the vitamin that you buy in the lab is like a mirror image. Is the opposite. It's the same vitamin, just like vitamin E, for instance. If you bought a good quality vitamin E, it'll run you about $20 for 60 capsules. But if you go to GNC, you can find vitamin E for $4. And so, but that's a synthetic E. It is E, but synthetics do not work. They don't fulfill the needs they need to fill when it comes to vitamin E. The things that vitamin E do when it comes to nerve, when it comes to brain function, when it comes to a lot of the functions for E itself. So consequently, when they do the studies of using a synthetic vitamin, I don't expect to see any difference between that and placebo, because to me, a synthetic vitamin E is a placebo. It has the name vitamin E, but it doesn't have the power or the oomph to do what it needs to do. And the same thing with vitamin A. There are a lot of synthetic vitamin C's. You know, we talk about ascorbic acid as opposed to sodium ascorbate. And it's two ways to make it. The ascorbic acid is usually something created in a laboratory, where the sodium ascorbate is usually something that's titrated from rose hips or from some vitamin C source, you know, some fruit or things like that. But it's more expensive. When the vitamins are more expensive, it's because they usually come from a plant source and you have to titrate them out, as opposed to just synthesizing something in the lab. So I would be hesitant with the studies, only because the first one said Centrum Silver, and as far as I'm concerned, that's one of the lower grade products you can buy on the market, because again, those type of things that they advocate taking once a day. And I'm not going to go too far, but one thing I want to say about vitamins and minerals, they're supposed to be food supplements, a nutritional supplement. They're a supplement to a diet, and not the diet. And people really get out of line when they started using it as a source of nutrition rather than a supplement to the source. But when you say take it once a day, if I only ate once a day, then we'll be good. But usually you have to take them in divided doses, twice a day at least, sometimes 3 times a day. Every time you eat a meal, you take the vitamins and the minerals with it, because they work together. That's how they're absorbed and digested. That's how they work with the food.
Yep.
So.
Yeah. And feel free to talk about, I kind of say no quality, but I mean, if you want to say something about the quality, it's fine, because I think that's important, the biochemistry of it. I mean, the synthetic, can you give us a little insight into, what synthetic, I mean, give us like a little scenario. Why is a synthetic molecule different than a natural molecule, in the sense that, if I go in the lab and make a vitamin C molecule versus a vitamin C molecule coming from a plant, or a vitamin C molecule extracted from a plant, what's the biochemistry there in terms of difference? I mean, help our audience understand that difference.
Well, if you look at the structure of vitamin C, like ascorbic acid, the structure of a natural C is what we call, it's what it would look like if you looked at yourself. When you look at the synthetic, it's like looking in the mirror. It's a mirror image of the vitamin C. So there's one is called a D alpha, which is always the natural vitamin C, and it's the levo, or L, is it's like a left hand, right hand. The right hand is the real one, and the left hand is the synthetic one. And so what they do in a lab, they make a left-handed or a levo form of the vitamin, the mirror image. And they sell that because they can make it sufficient, and they go and say that it works the same. But when they test it, they come out with the numbers that you find in your test. They can't find any significant difference from people who take vitamins and don't take vitamins. But for people who are getting their nutrition through whole foods, or what I call real vitamin, plant-based vitamins, they see a difference right away. If you had an alcoholic who was, nutritionally deficient, and you gave him IV vitamins or plant-based vitamins, or put him on this high energy mineral-based diet, you'll see difference within days of their health status start changing. So you want to look for vitamin sources that provide plant-based and not synthetics. And I emphasize that so much, and most people don't realize that. But you can really tell with price, because the price is a key benefit. Years ago we were involved with the nutrition business, where I used to order from companies and manufacturers, and I would go from manufacturer to manufacturer looking for the products that I would take myself. And then because I knew they were really natural supplements, and you could tell the difference. So so the big thing is looking at the price, understanding the companies, and on the second half, I'm gonna give you a list of companies I would recommend that you can buy at Whole Foods, or you can go to Vitamin Shop and buy it. Some specific ones that that people can get from physicians that I think are higher quality. And the reason you buy them through physicians is because they're not just for everyday use, they help a person to get better. If you have some specific deficiencies, people do vitamin mineral testing or antioxidant testing. These are the vitamins you take to get back really more rapidly.
Yeah. Dr. Palmer, any comments?
Well, I mean, of course, Dr. Atkins, knows a lot about the vitamin and mineral world. So not a lot to add, but just like he said, reminding people that the food is kind of still your source. But at the same time, even with us eating the right foods, if you were to do probably a mineral test, we would still come up empty or low in some areas because of the difficulties that our food now is having in attaining some of the vitamins and minerals from the earth because the soil is so depleted. And so that is an issue. So I do oftentimes talk to patients about vitamins and minerals, but I don't want them to depend on it 100%. So both sides are kind of lacking, meaning the food is lacking and the vitamin world is lacking. So right now we're kind of in a position where the best we can do is kind of try to put that together to fix the gaps that we have in our dietary access.
Yeah. Well, you want to say something else?
One other thing, specifically talking about vitamins with people, there are studies coming out now, and I'm going to forward you a couple of studies that I've just recently reviewed showing the efficacy of vitamins, because we have these studies now when they look for heart disease, they look for, the studies are looking for specific, cancer or memory function. But, they recently came out a study with vitamin D, how vitamin D actually attaches to the spike prong on the COVID virus, and it blocks it prevents the virus from binding to your cells. And actually, all the fat soluble vitamins do that, the A, D, E, and K, but D does it more effectively than the other three. So we know that in Wuhan, when they had people being hospitalized for COVID back a year ago, the number one way to improve their health was to give them on a high dose vitamin C, IV vitamin C, giving them vitamin C in the hospital. And people who were taking vitamin C did much better as far as recovery, as far as symptoms and from the disease. And so those are studies as evidence that we know those two vitamins work. And I'm sure all the others do too. We just have to know, we have to put them in the right context. And I think a lot of studies we do in general are just not any specific context, so you don't get any specific result.
Yeah, and I think, that's a very important point because, and you're getting into, and I think we need to do that because actually we'll do another talk where I'm actually going to talk about, our approach. And actually I may, Floyd, we might do a 2-part, let you talk about your approach, and I'll talk about our approach.
Okay.
The 3-part. Because I think different people have different approaches, and I think they're all beneficial.
Yes.
But you hit on something that I usually like to talk about is a targeted approach. And so, and I think we sort of alluded to this, the fundamental aspect of how we nourish our bodies with food. So you have one at the foundation of foodaceuticals.
Yes.
And the next level is going to be nutraceuticals with vitamins and supplements.
Yes.
And then at the last resort of pharmaceuticals. Yes. And so you really want to start with the optimal nutrition. And there's some important, concepts that, I think we should, grasp, and we'll share that with the group over time. That is why food is important in terms of getting our nutrients and minerals, because it's not about the amount, but it's about the milieu and because our bodies don't look at vitamin C or vitamin whatever for the most part. Our bodies look at food, is it broccoli or celery or whatever the case is.
Right.
And so it looks at food as sort of a constellation of things, not just isolated micronutrients and so on. So So that's clearly one thing. The other thing I often tell my patients, they will say, well, I'm taking a complete multivitamin. And, sometimes they use the word complete and says, oh, complete. So does that mean it has all the vitamins and minerals that are known to man and all the ones that we don't know about?
Yeah.
Because we haven't discovered all the nutrients, and so are all the vitamins and minerals are phytonutrients that exist.
Yeah.
So there's no such thing as a real complete multivitamin, even though some bottles will say that. But yeah, that's really the deal. So the question here is, Samantha Thomas, what roles do essential minerals play in aging, and what makes them essential? You want to tackle that, Floyd?
Well, what makes them the role in aging is that minerals are really the foundation of optimal health. I mean, you look at the minerals, you look at magnesium, calcium, potassium, iodine. Just those four alone. I mean, that makes up the majority of your body when it comes to bones, when it comes to your hormonal health, when it comes to your cardiovascular health. All those minerals are essential. You can't, a lot of times in osteopenia, osteoporosis, we look at the calcium as being the problem. But what they're finding now is that it's not the calcium that's a problem, it's more the magnesium. It's a balance, imbalance between calcium and magnesium that's really the problem that causes the bones to have a problem. So it's not too many minerals that are not essential that we get in our food and diet. We want to make sure, but again, like you said before, it has to be in proper balance. Most people, if you're having a diet of processed foods or foods that has been preserved or say manipulated in some way, lose their mineral content, and they definitely lose their vitamin content. The big thing about eating a plant-based is that there are phytochemicals. These are plant chemicals, and the plant chemicals also are synergistic, or they help the vitamins and minerals work. So, taking a vitamin mineral in an isolated condition is not really supremely helpful. So, like even the studies we talked about, they might have taken a study with the vitamins and minerals. What was their diet that goes along with it? Because they don't have those other things, the phytochemicals. There's no absorption there. There's no assimilation there. And so you're taking it down, but you're eliminating it out.
Yeah. And, you hit on a lot of important points, and I'm going to touch one of those, absorption. And, we see a lot of patients, and oftentimes they're on so-called high-quality vitamins and minerals. And, the whole issue of nutrient absorption is really important. The issue is that we have to absorb our nutrients. Yes. And our microbiome plays a very important role in that. And our gut flora, creates supplements, minerals. They digest the food in a certain way. They break down the minerals. They allow us to absorb these nutrients. If we have dysbiosis or imbalance of our microbiome, particularly in our gut, then we'll have malabsorption. That's one. Two, inflammation. Many people have gut inflammation. So the microvilli, the little indentations in the lining that gives us increased surface area, is damaged. So the decreased surface area of our intestines and our bowels decrease the ability to absorb nutrients, whether they're supplements or otherwise. And then many of these nutrients, and we're going to get into, later on, are packaged in such a way that they can't be absorbed because there are lots of other things that are with them. But absorption is an important factor, and other aspects of what we bring in is an important factor. And then there are other things that we're taking, pharmaceutical drugs, which will be the top topic of another show where we talk about the effects of pharmaceutical drugs. There are certain like proton pump inhibitors reduce magnesium. And so there are other types of things that are going on. So it gets to be a very complex mess. And so I threw those 3 studies up there just because that's what's there. But we can really take these studies apart because there are a lot of variables that are not being controlled for. And so it's really important to understand that. Ms. Jackson wants to know, are minerals enzymes? Minerals are not enzymes, but they work with enzymes. They could be cofactors. So enzymes are protein structure, a complex protein structure. So that means they're made of amino acids. In fact, the proteins that you consume in the food are broken down to amino acids, and they're shipped to the liver, and they're restructured to enzymes. And enzymes play different roles, such as replicating DNA, replicating mRNA, and various other things. And so there are enzymes that control your blood clotting, and the enzymes that control other production of things in cells. So enzymes are very complex molecules that consist of amino acids, and many of them may have cofactors, which are minerals that are part of an enzyme structure. So it's amino acids plus or minus a mineral structure or other types of molecules that work together. Perfect breakdown. Thanks. You're welcome. Any other thoughts or comments on multi-minerals? So your thoughts on these studies are what? Good studies, bad studies, more confusing than they need to be.
Well, go ahead, doctor.
No, I was just going to say, and I know in the pediatric world, people have a misconception about multivitamins and kind of how they work, what they do, because I feel like parents think that they feel like they should eat. Are you getting a lot of feedback?
Just a little bit. Let me mute mine and see if.
Okay. Feel like their child can still eat the standard American diet type foods or a lot of snack foods and then take a vitamin and be okay. But most of the time they're taking gummies, which actually have a lot of sugar in it. Some of the good ones are in gummy form, but you really need to read the package and kind of see what else is in that vitamin to make sure that you're not giving your child a lot of fillers and a lot of sugars. Because, they do, I understand why they do gummies. A child can chew it, a child will take it because it tastes like candy. But you don't want to then teach them, and then they get to a certain point where now they want to take 4 or 5 of them because they taste so good. But you don't want to get them addicted again by giving them vitamins addicted to the sugar in it. So trying to also remind parents of that, but at the same time that we are doing a multivitamin, don't think that you can just do that by itself, because the child is still going to end up with some deficiencies later on.
That's an interesting point you make, because a lot of these vitamins and gummies, I mean, I guess if something's called a gummy, I don't know if that name by itself implies you should eat it, but that's another story. But it's almost like giving them candy, because like you say, there's sugar and things like that in it. And so the kids, and of course, a lot of them have colors and artificial dyes and things. So it's almost like giving them candy, and it could be problematic. I think we lost Dr. Palmer there. She might come back on, but that's a problem. So there are bad aspects of these vitamins and minerals, and we're going to get into that into the next section. So y'all just stay tuned. We're going to come back with part 2. And on part 2, we're going to talk about the truth about retail supplements and get into some of that. So just stay tuned just 1 minute. Okay, so we're going to go into part 2. What I want to talk about here are retail supplements. So in a previous segment, we talked about multivitamins. Do they work? And in that aspect, our conversation was based on the efficacy of multivitamins. Should you take a multivitamin? Is it going to help you? In summary, there's not a lot of good studies. There were 3 studies that were looked at. And I looked on some things online, and Harvard guys said, well, you shouldn't take the multivitamins and so on. And I think that argument probably goes well for over-the-counter supplements, because the quality isn't controlled and it's not very good. I don't think the final word is out on whether supplements in general are beneficial or not beneficial. As Dr. Atkins pointed out in the other segment, there is data showing that when you use supplements in a targeted fashion, there have been evidence showing benefits, certainly in the setting with coronavirus, but the other settings too. And even though we're not going to get into the details in this show, we will cover some of that in a future show where we talk about, important supplements and targeted supplements used in the right manner can be beneficial. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring Dr. Atkins back, and then I'm going to throw up these other few slides, and then we're going to get into a second part of our conversation. So the truth about retail supplements, and so, both of us use supplements in our practice, but we tend to certainly myself, and I think Dr. Atkins and Dr. Pam Atkins also, they select supplements from a high quality source. In fact, we exchange notes on things like that, and I've gotten a lot of good information from them on supplements and good sources. But the sources I know that we primarily get our supplements from, the manufacturer of the supplements test the supplements, and then the company that redistributes from the manufacturer, they actually send it out to an independent lab and have the supplements retested for quality, purity, and the like. And the supplements are ones that are taken based on research studies that are used looking at disease states and the like. And so there's a different quality of the things that we use compared to what you get in the retail store. And I'm going to go through some of that stuff. So what do we know about retail supplements? Well, in 2015, the New York Attorney General found nearly 80% of supplements at 4 major retailers didn't meet the label claim, and they were mislabeled under federal regulations. So they didn't meet the regulatory requirements of the labeling. Between 2007 and 2016, there were warnings by the FDA that nearly 800 dietary supplements contained unapproved ingredients. About 98% of the ingredients were not declared on the label. So a lot of these unapproved ingredients that were found when you took to the lab, you didn't know that they were there because they weren't on the label. And that's pretty dangerous. And 20% of them contain at least one, more than one illegal ingredient. And so it implies that the supplements you're getting from retail stores are not only they're not effective, at least from the part one, the studies that we looked at, but here there's evidence that they may have harmful ingredients that you don't know about. And it's hard to really test these things because, people are taking supplements and, they may have heart disease and other issues, and, they get sick and have an acute event, and you don't know if it's due to the supplement or not. I do know from my experience that I've had individuals who will start certain supplements, will have some acute symptoms, and it be temporarily related to taking those supplements, and we then make those changes and things improve, such that their blood pressure may skyrocket or whatever the case may be. So there are times when you can find it clinically with individual patients. The problem is that it's hard to study this and systematically understand what's going on with. So that's certainly an issue with the supplements there. And the most expensive supplements tend to be the ones that don't meet the snuff here. And so here's a comment from Dr. Henner. I tell my students that taking vitamins is a crapshoot. What do you need? How do you need it? And if you need it, where do you test it? Where they test it, and how? Some nutrients it's hard to test for. Also, how much do you need? If you're deficient, supplements might help. If you're not, or don't know if you're not, it's a crapshoot. Yep, that's true. And this Martika Henner, here's an article I wrote on gummy vitamins. Dr. Palmer talked about gummy vitamins. Eat too many gummy vitamins. So I'll have to look at that article. And then another article she wrote about supplements. So maybe we'll bring Dr. Henner on the next time we cover this topic. What should I look for on labels when selecting supplements? Do the labels indicate if the supplements are synthetic? Dr. Axe, you want to take that question on?
Usually they don't indicate whether they're synthetic. If you look at a vitamin A or vitamin C, they'll have the letter D and they have the letter A, D alpha. Those are what you know natural. Some of the especially vitamin A's, the vitamin B's, but if they start with an L in front of an L dash and then the generic name of the vitamin, they're usually synthetic. But in general, again, the way you really tell is about price, because to produce a good quality vitamins, it takes more than $3 or $4. Because I say that, and I don't, that slide you just put up about the quality and vitamins it is a crapshoot. I have to agree with Dr. Henner on that, because there's so much, so many supplements in the market that are just awful, and it's only because in the industry. They're not really regulated in a way to root those people that can put anything on the market, because what they'll do is put a synthetic out, or if they have a multivitamin, multimineral. If you look at a multivitamin, they'll say it'll have 5,000 IU of vitamin A and 3,000 IU of vitamin D and those kind of things. But a good quality multiple vitamin is going to have at least 20 to 25,000 IU of vitamin A. You want to see at least 1 to 5,000 IU. You want to see 5, but you might see 1 to 2,000 IU of vitamin D. They're smaller dosage, but when you look at a supplement and you look at the label, you'll see that things like vitamin E, it might say 50 IU. And you should really be 100. There is a list we kind of look at the minimum that you should have every day, but those will be much smaller. So that's one way to look at it, the quality, because they'll just give you smidgens of all the little vitamins and say it's a multivitamin. But if you take it in, it's not enough to make a difference. So those are one things you want to look at. Also, you want to look at the inactive ingredients and the preservatives in it. They use stearates. They use polyethylene glycol, the PEGs. They use titanium in them. They use a number of different additives, binders, fillers. Always look at the size of the vitamin and the amount of ingredients in there. And it's telling a lot of times that they have either binders are like talc, and sometimes they actually say it on the label. They use talc, and they'll use cornstarch. They use soy lecithin and different things like that. So you want to really look at it from that standpoint.
Yeah, that's an important part, because the fillers can actually have a significant adverse effect on your body. I mean, so oftentimes people may get sick based on the filler molecules, and so I think it makes a difference. We've got a number of great questions. I'm going to touch base on those after this next slide, because it's going to feed into some of the things we're going to talk about in a minute. So hang on, Valerie German. So professional quality formulas versus retail, is there a difference? Well, retail supplements often have cheaper, poor quality ingredients that can't be absorbed or utilized by the body, as Dr. Atkins just pointed out. Supplements purchased at retail stores are often manufactured by companies that are not registered with the FDA and are not following valid good manufacturing practices. The FDA does not regulate the quality and efficacy of vitamins, but there's certain standards of manufacturing and things that they provide some oversight there. Health food stores supplements are not always third-party tested, which means they may not meet label claims, safety, efficacy, and may be contaminated with unidentified substances or mislabeled ingredients. And so why professional quality supplements? Why go to Dr. Atkins or Dr. Montgomery or Dr. Palmer to get supplements? Well, professional quality supplements are formulated in high quality, pure ingredients, research and developed for guaranteed results. And, this requires money and investment. And so the supplements that we use, and I think Dr. Atkins can speak for himself, also will attest to this also, I should say. The supplements we use are provided to only professionals and not on the label. Well, why is that the case? Well, the company we use, and I'll just give the name, Numedica, we've used some others before. For example, their supplements go through quality testing. The manufacturer tests it. They will test it before it comes to us. All of our supplements have batch numbers. So that pushes the cost up, not only the testing, but actually the quality of the ingredients and the manufacturing and all of that stuff. So these supplements are going to be more expensive. Well, they can't afford to put their supplements on, the shelf of retail store X, Y, and Z next to supplements that's, not tested and poorly formulated. That's, $2, and that supplement's maybe $40 for a monthly supply, because there's a much higher quality there, and it's apples and oranges. So the person walking on the shelf says, "Oh, $2 versus $40. I'm gonna grab the $2." But their supplements come to us because we understand it. We're using it for a specified purpose. We use it for people who really need it. In our clinic, we test for deficiencies, nutrient deficiencies, and we will supplement in many cases on a targeted fashion or based on disease state. So there's a higher quality, and it's in a targeted, specified manner. And really, you may spend more money, but there's a lower cost. There's more money, but a lower cost. I want to emphasize that, because if you buy something that's cheaper, there's a higher cost, because A, you're getting nothing for the money you're spending, and B, there are potential adverse effects that you're getting with that supplement that you may or may not know about. I mean, yes, it may be raising your blood pressure or causing some other problem that's costing you, your health and costing you your overall well-being. Professional quality supplements provide ingredients, proven therapeutic amounts, to improve your health and metabolic chemistry. So often these amounts have been tested in clinical trials and with certain studies. They featured activated, high absorbable, bioavailable ingredients for optimal cellular utilization. Again, that goes into the quality of the production. Third-party tested to be free of impurities, heavy metals, allergens, hidden additives, or mislabeled ingredients. Ours is double third-party tested. Manufactured in FDA-registered facilities that are third-party certified to follow current good manufacturing practices. And so, again, quality. True professional formulas provide expiration dates instead of manufacture dates. That's important. So that's it for my PowerPoint slides. I just want to throw some information up there for the group. Now, the Valerie German has an interesting question. How do you know if you're buying quality vitamins? Really searching for quality glutathione supplement. So frustrating. MSM is a precursor that enhances the body's production of glutathione. There's also a supplement we get through another company called Cellgevity that has D-ribose. It helps production of glutathione. Any comments? Yours?
Yeah, and also N-acetylcysteine.
Okay, N-acetylcysteine.
If you get that, it's a good precursor. And like I said, if you're buying over the counter, I'm just going to give some names right now because I know we will be short on time. If I were going to buy something over the counter, I would buy the Garden of Life products. Their products are superior, probably the most superior products that you can buy at a place like Whole Foods or Vitamin Shop. And so they'll have a lot of the glutathiones and the supplements you're looking for if you want to buy over the market. There are several other companies that we can talk about a little later that you use, but yeah, starting with the N-acetylcysteine or the two products you mentioned, Dr. Montgomery, would be a good place to get the glutathione.
Yep. And Faye Parker, Faye, you're cheating. I like to consume moringa powder and multivitamin as a multivitamin. I've grown in my powder. That's exactly right. Also sea moss and sea veggies. But you're cheating. You're getting the good stuff.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's a valid point, because really, and I tell my patients this. In fact, the patients I have who come in on the multivitamin, we'll put them on a blue-green algae or something like a moringa powder, or we have sea moss. We'll put them on sea moss because really those are nutrient and mineral rich foods.
Yeah.
And so they're phytonutrients. And the thing about this with moringa powder or any food-based nutrient, And these sea vegetables things tend to be richer than the ones from our vegetables that are commercially grown and the like. But the vitamins and minerals, not only are they rich in the vitamins and minerals, but the vitamins and minerals are in the right type of stoichiometry. It's this, when I say stoichiometry, I mean it's in the right order. So let's say, for instance, let's say I sell you a pound of wood. You need a desk, and you need a desk that's 500-pound of wood desk. And I go out and say, okay, you need some wood. Instead of selling you 2x4s and sheet wood and all of that, I give you 400 pounds of sawdust. Well, sawdust is wood. I mean, but you're gonna have a hard time building a desk out of sawdust. You need the wood in the right structure, the right order. And that's what the body needs, the vitamins and minerals, and it needs it in the right structure. And so the right structure, if it's in the right structure, it can make use of it and build it. Yeah, I guess if you glued the sawdust in the right way, you can make something out of it, but it's not going to be as strong of a desk as if you had the wood in the right structure that you need to make a desk out of.
Or a pretty desk.
Or a pretty desk. That's exactly right.
But one thing I want to say about the moringa powder, all of those are good. She's doing what I call the phytovitamins. You're getting the plant-based source of them, and that's good. It's really good for people who are practicing prevention or being proactive about their health. But from a clinical standpoint, a lot of the powders, whether it's moringa, whether it's sea moss, the main ingredient that people don't understand about sea moss, that it has a iodine complement. Iodine is a mineral that's thyroid function, sexual health, it helps with prostate, breast, uterine. It has so many abilities there, but you can't titrate exactly how much you get from a clinical standpoint. So if I was to recommend it to a patient, I couldn't say just take 2 scoops or 3 scoops, because you don't know exactly how much you're getting. And so that's where a supplement comes in, when you really want to, target a therapy for some specific product that way. So, but from her standpoint, to do it as a preventive, that's the best way to go. I think she's cheating because she's going to the plants. She's going straight to the source. We can't talk about. And one thing I want to say, and again, the reason it works so well is that when we take vitamins, you have tablets, which are the worst way to take vitamins, as far as I'm concerned, because you've seen the reports about how people take tablets and they go to the sewer system in cities, and they found that there are more tablets in the sewer system than anything else, because they go straight through without breaking down. Then you want to go with the capsule. Is a better way, because the capsule actually has a powder inside. If you have trouble with digesting the capsule or gelatin, or you don't like an animal capsule, you want to have a veggie cap, you always open the capsule up and put it that way. With some, you can do it that way. And then number 3, chewables, and 4th will be the liquids. So when you get to the moringas and the powders, you make your smoothies, you really get a liquid, which are the most absorbable. And I think, if you can stick with the chewables and liquids with vitamins, you will really do much better as a supplement.
Yep, no, I agree. The non-gummy bear chewables, but yeah, I agree.
No, not gummy bear. No.
Does it help if they're vegan or organic? I prefer the vegan. I don't like animal protein, dairy, or eggs added to our vitamin. In fact, all of our vitamins are restricted to be plant-based. So we have a preference for vegan and organic sourced. So let's see. How can I receive supplements from that particular company? Garden of Life, they're at Whole Foods and most health food stores, right?
Yeah.
I think, yeah,
mostly, Vitamin Shop and Whole Foods, and some major health food stores will have those. But you look for those, and there's several other companies that are good companies. GIA, they sell some good vitamins, and GAIA. If you order online, because there's so many products online, there's a company called Designs for Health. They have a good track record with their supplements. They make clean supplements. Or another one called Pure Encapsulation. They basically put all of their vitamins in a capsule. It's called Pure Encapsulation. The thing about it, like I said, they're higher quality because they're effective. And the reason we recommend getting them in through doctor's office, the reason they don't put them just on the stores or at the at the Walmarts and the Walgreens, is because people sometimes take vitamins and they think that more is better. So if one vitamin D is good, I'll take 3. Well, when you're taking a pure quality, low efficacy vitamin, it won't hurt you. But if you're taking something that's very effective and you take something that's pure, you don't need 3. You really need to take the 1. And then again, Dr. Montgomery, you pointed to the testing. I think that's so valuable, especially for people who want to be very specific about their nutrition plan. You want to have a vitamin, mineral, antioxidant, a nutritional test just to see where you are. So you can see, because everybody needs something different. Everybody doesn't need the same amount of vitamin D or vitamin C or magnesium, calcium, potassium. Some things you may not need at all, just based on your diet. So you can find out where your deficiencies are, address those first, and then you can develop a program after that to just have a maintenance program.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it gets to where you want to be more specific and directed, especially if you're trying to address specific health needs. You really want to be directed, and so that's why working with your healthcare professional is very beneficial. Bernadette wants to know about the immune boosting supplements we talked about in previous shows. Basically, the immune boosting supplements really fall in line along the lines of targeted nutrients. And so what those supplements have is where quercetin and zinc are supplements that have antiviral properties, but also quercetin also has some anti-inflammatory properties. Vitamin D, of course, enhances the immune system. And of course, vitamin C is part of that regimen. And vitamin C has antioxidant properties, anti-inflammatory properties. It also has some autoimmune properties. For people dealing with cancer, it has anti-cancer properties at high doses. It could be toxic to cancer cells and not toxic to normal cells. And so it really falls in line, I think, in the context of our discussion, that falls more in line with targeted quality supplements as opposed to sort of random, vitamins that you get over the counter. But that's the comparison. That's the difference that, Dr. Atkins was discussing earlier.
Yeah, the antioxidants, the grapeseed extract, your resveratrol and things too. And like I said, I want people to be clear to understand we're having a discussion about vitamins, minerals tonight, but also you're delving in the areas of herbs and herbals approach, how they work, and other nutraceuticals that are beneficial. And again, it's targeted. So you have to know whether you need them or not to really just taking them. A lot of people like to use the shotgun method and take everything. We've had some patients and people that just say, want to take everything, but you want to spend your money wisely and take what you need and get a good quality product.
Okay. Yep. Exactly. Sonia is using sea moss as well. Madeline JC wants to know where to get the best sea moss and moringa powder. Superfood Village, right? Google Superfood Village Houston, and they're out in the Sugar Land area. And so that's a great place to get moringa powder and sea moss. Superfood Village. It's great here in Houston. If you're not in Houston, you can Google it, Superfood Village Houston or Superfood Village Missouri City or Sugar Land. Just say Houston. It should get you the same place. And then you can ship it to you. And you can find their website, that type of thing. So they're great. And so Lauren Honeyhill wants to say, hey there. Valerie German, I would love to have a nutritional test. I take so many vitamins, I'm not sure if I'm taking the right one. Give any of us a call. We do micronutrient testing all the time. You may know how to get in touch with us at montgomeryheart.com or 713-599-1144. And you get in touch with our group and we can go over that. So as we close out, Floyd, any parting words to our audience in terms of vitamins and supplements?
Yes. I just think that number one, you want to do your research and I'm not trying to sell the health professionals as a way to do it, but I think that's the safest and most effective way to get to where you need to be. Number one, if it's possible, try to get tested. If not, you want to put a regimen together of a multivitamin, multimineral, but more of a targeted therapy because all multivitamins, like we talked about, are not equal. I recommend not buying anything from a Costco or Walmart. You know, the study you alluded to earlier that showed how the state of New York showed that most of the supplements, 80% of them didn't have what they said they had on them. I followed up on that study, and the companies like Walmart and Costco basically came out with statements saying that, well, we didn't know it was, we get them from secondhand manufacturers, so we didn't really realize that, and we would never hurt our customers, so we're going to make those changes. And they fired all of the people that they got them from. But what happens is that, you know, another group of individuals make the same stuff, same products with different labels from a different company, and it's the same quality. It's no different in quality. So you want to be very careful about that, because you don't know what you're getting. But again, check with you, Dr. Montgomery. You can check with our office. I can recommend some products. Is it okay to give my website? We have a nutritional
yep, absolutely.
line. It's called Preventive, PREVENTIVE -measures.com, preventive-measures.com. But we have some supplements, and also we carry some of the Superfood Village products there for people who are unable to get them, who are out of town, out of state. But I've been researching supplements for over 20 years and looking at companies, and some years, you know, companies do well, and there's some years that you really have to change. So there's no one particular line that you can get to get everything you need. You want to really research and get what you need. So
is that correct on that banner?
Yeah, preventive dash, put a dash between the preventive and measures.
Okay, hold on a second here.
www.preventive-measures.com. Well, yeah, if you go there, you know, we carry products, but we specifically, you know, you look at a general guideline, you know, whether it's for wellness. We have supplements that are specifically antivirals. We have supplements that are immune stimulators, because you want to really address the underlying cause of problems. You're not just trying to, like the studies that we alluded to, we started the show with, they're targeting heart disease or targeting diseases. But vitamins and minerals weren't made to cure diseases. They're the building blocks of the foundation of optimal health. So what we want to do is use them as a building block and maintain that foundation.
You know, that's a great point, because, I mean, one argument is that, there's a lot of arguments in those studies, but one argument is that it was poorly designed for a lot of reasons. That's one particular reason, because, you know, they're using vitamins and minerals in a sense as a targeted therapy, and that's not really meant to be the case. Having said that, they're probably not effective even as you know, as building blocks. They're probably using insufficient vitamins and minerals. We do have, let's see, a question about moringa and its expiration real quick. What does moringa expire?
Well, you know, since moringa is a plant that's usually dehydrated and ground into a powder, it comes from a leaf, it does have an expiration date. You know, things like moringa, I would get them as fresh, like moringa, hemp seeds, chia seeds, those kind of things. You know, anything over 2 years would probably be getting a decreased efficacy. You know, the way you preserve those kind of things is you refrigerate them. So if you keep your moringa or keep your hemp seed in the freezer or refrigerator when you're not using them, they'll last much longer. So, but out at room temperature, you know, when those kind of products get more than 1 or 2 years old, I would be suspect of the efficacy.
If you got it on your shelf for 2 years or more, that means you're either buying too much and not consuming enough. So
yeah, you need to see your doctor.
So, plant-based diet, heart rate's more rapid. We typically see the heart rate go down with a plant-based diet. So I don't want to say it's just magnesium. You just want to look at the whole diet and see if there's nothing else that's going in there. So I think there are a lot of factors that are going on. But anyway, Floyd, thanks. Great comment. And you know, this, as always, I learned a lot on this. And we're going to come back to this topic because, you know, it's hard to do this topic justice because there's so many components to it. And we will do a show where we talk about approaches to treating patients with vitamins and minerals. And Floyd, I'll get with you and we'll probably put together a 2-part component. Maybe you could do a show in terms of how y'all use it, and I can do one on how we use it there. I'm sure there's overlap and
yes.
approaches. And so I think that's going to be there'll be a 2-part series. So that'll be coming up pretty soon. So y'all stay tuned. So I'll see you backstage for it. So as usual, everybody, I learned a lot, a great show. This whole concept of multivitamins, supplements, and minerals is a big one. It's a very large market. What I attempted to do is get the conversation started tonight. There's a lot that can be said about this, and lots of people are taking vitamins and minerals. And I think the best case scenario when you're taking something over the counter, you're not sure what you're taking, is that it's doing no good. That's the best case scenario. The potential worst case scenario is that it's potentially doing some harm, and it's difficult to measure that. And I see people coming with lots of vitamins and minerals, and they can be causing problems. So that's why you really want to work with your physician or other healthcare practitioner to help go into a target, use a target approach. And so that's what you want to do. So anyway, until next time, I want you to keep it fresh, natural, and live. And, of course, keep it plant-based as much as you can.